Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and welcome to 1986. We're going back in time. Retro Wednesday, looking at the entire vintage G.I. Joe toy line, starting from 1982 to 1994. We're settling on 1986. Now, there's probably going to be a discussion on whether 1985, 1986, or 1987 is the best year of G.I. Joe. It's really hard to say. I like them all almost equally. This is an amazing year because it has my favorite playset of all time, number one. No, it's not the flag. We'll talk about this and more, every figure, every vehicle, every playset coming up. Just kind of want to show that we're on this journey to 1994, and we've gotten all of this done in the first 4 episodes, and then we're getting up into here, and we have all of this to go, all of that to go to get to 1994, then all of this over here, all that's 90s stuff, a couple of teams to look at, all this down here. That's just the Joes. Just want to put this journey in perspective. We have gone through to about here, and we have all of this left to get to 1994. Well, we want to start out with Beachhead, but I want to say the ground rules, like every week. I'm going in order of yojo.com on their figure section and then their vehicle section, sort of. And as I get to a figure that has a vehicle, their driver, then I'll show that vehicle, then I'll show the rest of the vehicles in the playsets, and that's the order. Now I'm doing Joe first, then Cobra, and so it does kind of seem a little random, but it's not. Now getting into this is Beachhead, and Beachhead is kind of a cool looking figure. Now I would admit that he's not my favorite figure out of all of these. I do like his color scheme. I do like the fact that he kind of looks like a ninja in a way. I mean, that's how I treated him when I was a kid and in the playtime and stuff. Now, I never had his backpack back in the day as a kid, so I might even have this on backwards or upside down. Let me fix that. It's funny, I don't even know if it's what side's up. But anyhow, this is a pretty cool looking figure overall. Just kind of feels like ninja. Now, he does come with this gray gun of his, which is kind of cool. And it's there's also another one in the accessory pack that's a different color. I think the darker one's the accessory pack. I've got both. This is the ammo pack. I'm going to call it his purse, his man purse, his merce, but it is indeed his ammo pack. And a lot of people are afraid to put it on him because it's going to break. And they're right, it will break. He does have some camo pants. He's got some molded in knife and other details on the side. And this is another figure that I was kind of wishing his stuff, like his knife would have come out and those kinds of things back in the day. Stuff that we can do with our figures these days. And I do like the classified retro one that they made. Looks pretty good. Anyway, this is Beachhead, and a pretty cool figure overall. Eventually, I'll need to upgrade this guy. Next, we are on to Dial Tone, and I have to admit that this dude here it's an okay figure. He's sort of military, sort of cool in a way, but I went all this time forgetting he even had a microphone here, and you know, G.I. Joe with their microphones is so tough. That's a big, giant, whopping microphone. It's really hard to miss, and I didn't have mine on mine for like a decade. And then I was like, wait, where's his microphone? So I had to track that down, which wasn't hard, actually. It's actually one of the easier ones because it's so big. It's pretty easy to track down. Anyway, he's kind of got a green and tan and black color scheme. They redid him, I think, 3 different color schemes, maybe 4 with the exact same figure. I know at least 3 with the same figure. His backpack sort of, it seems like a communications, dial tone, telecommunication kind of thing that's going on. Plus he has this laser blaster over here so he can get some work done, and that is cool. This thing gets reused quite a bit in the toy line down the road, but cool looking overall. Now he does have some stuff going on the side of his waist and his pouches and stuff, plus his knee pads are painted. It's really, really kind of cool how he came out. It's in a way just a simplistic military kind of uniform with a little bit of spice, dial tone. Next we get to General Hawk version 2. Well, okay, so this is Hawk version 2, but it's General Hawk version 1. We can kind of discuss all of that subtle nuance. Let's just call him Hawk. Call it a day, but I mean, we always view him as Hawk 2. Anyhow, there's his little pistol gun. I'm wondering if that's the same one as Kill Hall, except in black. Kill Hall is silver. maybe. I'm not 100% sure. And I will go into this. I am taking people's word for it, because when they said that that's his gun and I looked it up and it all seemed to match, I'm not 100% sure. So I went ahead and just took someone's word for it and put it on them and called it a day. This is fun when you just have 3 accessories. You have the helmet, the backpack, and the gun to make a figure. And see, I love that. I love just 3 accessories. Now, tracking all that down, you're looking at like $30, so it's not cheap. Now, he's got a bomber jacket on. He's got like a molded in gun right here and some camo pants with a holster that doesn't holster the gun, the pistol, which I think at this point in time they could have done that. It would have been cool to have a holstering gun, and I never understood why they didn't do it as thick as this thing is. They couldn't have made that to stick the gun in there. Now, later on down the line, they do stuff like that actually in this line, and we'll see that in the 90s. Some of the cool stuff about the 90s. But anyway, this is Hawk, a fan favorite. People love this guy, and a little harder to get 100% complete than I thought he would. Next up we have Iceberg, and I do want to show that I've got the carded one from my childhood here, and this is one of the ones that we saved. It's from A.V.A.C. They were $2.95 back in 1986. Oh, great. Well, I probably got it in 87 or 88 or 89. A.V.A.Cs are really good for holding on to a product that doesn't sell, and Iceberg was not a very popular character. It wasn't a popular character to me, and it wasn't a popular character to other kids out there, but evidently that's how I was able to secure a sealed one, and it doesn't even say I got it on clearance. Anyway, cool looking figure, and it's an Arctic snow figure, and I have to admit that I've been kind of searching for a brighter, whiter one, but they all fade. They're all, even mine, I'm starting to wonder if he never really was bright white. Maybe he was just a little bit on the off-white side the whole time, because even my sealed one that's been kept out of light for decades has a bit of a tinge to it. So anyway, okay, getting into him, he does have kind of an interesting color scheme with the green and the lighter green and some other color breakup going on there. So it's not just straight white, not quite like we saw with Frostbite and Snow Job. So they're adding a little bit more to him. But all he came with was a gun, which on one hand is awesome. That is awesome. That's all he came with, to track down one accessory. But on the other hand, as a kid getting it, I didn't even open mine because it didn't look like a whole lot of fun, and I already had other snow guys, and it was one that I'm pretty sure I got late in the run, so I didn't get it in 86, it was down the road. But it is still an interesting, fun figure, and having the snow figures is cool. Also, this is where you start noticing, like, they put in this looking like a shirt's tucked in under his belt, but they included that on the pelvis and the waist piece. So there are some interesting aspects to this figure. But Iceberg, Snow Trooper, I guess we should take this moment to kind of just see what the card back look like on this, and a lot of the stuff is not part of 1986, but it's kind of cool. I mean, I miss this era of card backs. I miss it when you can look at the back and, like, this is what we're hunting down right now. This came out, this is last year's stuff going into next year's stuff, and so this was probably a later run card, and so it was just, they put them back out for 2 years, so that was probably why I got my hands on it. Anyhow, there we go. And the card backs are fun. So are the file cards. Next up we have Leatherneck, which is a pretty cool figure. So he's a Marine. So he is, my dad was a Marine. I can identify, I guess. My dad had the Marine mustache too. So till the day he died, I guess. I mean, I guess that's how he died. But anyway, with his mustache in. This, mine needs a little bit of help. And his gun is kind of like, it's got like a grenade launcher, and it's a machine gun and a grenade launcher. He's got that hat going on. It's not removable, thank goodness. And then he's got a green camo uniform, but kind of a tan shirt on there. There's his backpack. Cool stuff, lots of fun. Pretty cool figure. I think they reused this for one of the Python Patrol figures down the road, and we'll see that. And overall, pretty cool figure. They do recolor him later. We will take a look at that, but I don't have it. But he's recolored for the Brazil mission force, and this is when they started the kind of shenanigans they're doing in the 90s heavy. They started it in this year when the same figure gets put out twice in 2 different color schemes in the same year. But it wasn't exclusive, and it was harder to get. But anyhow, Leatherneck, pretty cool. Next up, we have Lifeline. If you follow me on this journey, I actually pieced together my best Lifeline, and here he is. You got to witness that first hand. Here is his briefcase, which I want to show that. and there's his briefcase, and it shows kind of like oxygen tanks and stuff, so when he gets there he can give some people some oxygen. The oxygen mask is not for him, although I put it on his face. It's for his patient, and it's going to plug into right here. And so I've noticed that some people like to put it like on the handle or on this thing here or something like that, which is probably the correct way to do it, but I just put it on his face, and lo and behold, I have a second one over here. That's what his face looks like. That's what he looks like without his face mask on. He does say rescue right here. And yeah, pretty cool looking figure overall. Now, I do remember having a lot of fun with him back in the day as yet another medic, but he had a gun, and mine never had the accessories. So I had one back in the day from a garage sale, no accessories. But again, another one that was from like 86 that I missed the boat on that I had to pick up later down the road, and I was happy to get him. I settled on the fact that this is his gun. I believe that's his gun. And a lot of people try to use this as Keelhaw's gun. And so with that, just little info that people try to pass that as Keelhaw's gun. And if you do use that as Keelhaw's gun, I don't have a problem with it. That's your collection. You can do what you want. But this is Lifeline. And yeah, he's a cool, fun medic. Next up, we got Lowlight. And Lowlight comes with this giant sniper rifle. He is kind of a cool looking figure. He's got these cool glasses on. He also has an Uzi, and with all of that, he is a pretty common figure, pretty easy to get, but they did one thing with him to make him hard to complete, and that's this stupid bipod, the stupid little bipod that he comes with. It's just ridiculous that they do that kind of stuff. Now they want to have realism, and they want to give you some value for your figure, but down the road, it's a pain trying to track that down. What I found is really the only way to find one is to buy a complete figure again if you need to. There's his giant huge backpack. He's got some yellow paint wraps all around his head, which that's kind of cool. He's got some red right here, so he's not completely just gray, but mostly just monotone gray with some slight accents on it. So he's not the most exciting figure out there, but him, his Uzi, yeah, his sniper rifle. Oh, I probably lost his bipod when he fell over. Lowlight. Alright, next up we've got Mainframe, who is kind of looking like a generic looking guy in a gray costume, uniform, but it is kind of interesting. He does have a little bit of breakup with a black strap and some silver and red accents there. And then he does have this little cell phone looking thing which is attached by the rubber hose, and there's his backpack, which is another communication specialist. Two of them in here, which is kind of cool. It's interesting. Now, he was one that's in the Brazil, which we'll see that picture later, the Brazilian repack. And still with that, I'm not sure which one I like better. I think I kind of like the gray one better, even though the Brazil color is a little cooler. But anyway, I never really had much of a connection with this figure at all, really, as a kid. And as an adult collecting them, I was just happy that he was easy to get. Probably this little piece here is the hardest to get for him, but there you go with Mainframe. Next up we have Roadblock version 2, which I sort of like, but this is where, back in the day as a kid, I didn't really understand that we were going to see a bunch of different versions of all the different characters. And I was like, well, I've already got Roadblock. What do I need this one for? And he was in the 87 movie. In that movie, he wore this uniform because it was the most recent version of the figure, and they still had him on the shelves. It comes with this ginormous heavy gunner kind of cannon, because he is a heavy gunner. And this is a tripod that connects to this piece here that doubles as a handle, but also I am scared because this thing can break. And it goes right there. Not really sure how you'd want to pose him. Probably something like this, where he's kind of down there working at that giant machine gun of his. And yeah, pretty cool. He's got a green vest. He's got this giant red pad there. He's got a tan pad on that side. But he did spend most of that movie running around with Cobra Commander, as Cobra Commander was changing into a snake and was once a man. But yeah, this is Roadblock version 2. Still a pretty cool figure overall. Still up on my list just because I like the character so much. Next up we have Sci-Fi version 1, and believe it or not, we see crazier versions of Sci-Fi in the future that are less neon. This is a pretty neon color, but the 90s, they still have some neon accents, but not anything that's bright neon green. So he has this backpack with this hose plugs into it. Now, I think, and I never really messed with it, but I think you could plug his gun into his backpack. I think that was a thing. that you could do. And yeah, looks like it is a thing that can be done. You can plug his gun into his backpack. Of course, I like displaying with his gun and neon backpack, silvery accents to him, pretty cool overall. And with that, his helmet looks like it would be removable, but it's not. Let me plug all this back in to here. This is where we started getting really sort of futuristic with G.I. Joe. Like the rest of the year felt sort of down to earth, aside from maybe Dr. Mindbender, but this dude was super out there into the science fiction territory, and that was kind of cool. Sci-fi. Next we have Wetsuit, and the previous Frogman that we had seen was Torpedo, and for whatever reason, I loved the color scheme of this guy even more than I felt like Torpedo was kind of boring, and that Wetsuit just looked cooler, so he was higher up on my roster in my mind as a kid and as an adult collector. He has this underwater flashlight. He has this, which actually has a flashlight on it, and it helps, I guess, propel him through the water as he's going through the water. He has the breathing mask that goes to his backpack there, which probably I need a better backpack on him. And he has the flippers. I was always really intrigued by things like the flippers that figures had like this. The eel had it and all them, but still pretty fun figure overall. And again, the color scheme, I liked it. And this breather mask is really hard to keep it on him. Such a challenge, but I actually thought about putting a little bit of like maybe some of that clear polish on there, and once it dries it kind of holds it in place and it doesn't damage it if you remove it. So might do that one day just to help hold it in place. But this is Wetsuit. He's pretty cool. We'll see you again, buddy. Next up, we're going to be looking at Lift Ticket, and of course he was a Tomahawk pilot, which was awesome. We'll look at the Tomahawk too, and he does come with his microphone. Now, I know that my buddy Philip had kept his. For sure, this is the real one. It was from my buddy's childhood collection, so the one that's on him might be a reproduction, but they look exactly the same to me, so I just don't really care. I just want to try to make stuff more apparent here. Now, he's a cool-looking pilot, kind of fun. Really, in my mind, I'd like to have a few of him, but I know Lift Ticket was only one guy. There's not like there were 5 Lift Tickets flying around these things, but just kind of interesting. He's got this huge helmet. I wish that you didn't have to chase down that stupid little microphone, even though I've got one. And then he's got a tan vest, green pants. So overall, a bit of a boring figure, but aside from his microphone, really easy to get. Not a very expensive figure at all. Alright, so this is the Tomahawk that he pilots, which is really, really awesome. And just a quick overview of it, they do have these 2 different yokes, movable yokes for him to hold on to. And then, of course, you have this, which mine likes to pop off real easy, so the canopy goes on there. It is supposed to have 5 of these. I keep one of them off. Once they go in, they don't want to come out, and you can break them taking them out. But for me to display it, I just leave one of each off. And that way I don't have to worry about breaking them or breaking anything on this, and it works for me. Coming up here, he does have this chopper. They do rotate. If you had them all in there, it would be a little more balanced. It has an side exhaust. We've got missiles on here on the wing. We've got a giant missile here. We have a machine gun here that's rotatable. It has wheels. It rolls. We've got guns right here. We have 4 seats that you clip somebody's back into to hold them in place. We have a fold down. See, this would be a lightning round if I was doing a full review of it. Fold down rear hatch. We have it's a movable, this is stabilizer. So it's a rotating stabilizer. Then in the back, we got another exhaust over here. It's exhausting. This thing's just huge, and it's awesome. I remember my grandma was babysitting these kids, and they had one, and I was like, man, they're like 5 years younger than me, and they've got this already. See, and that's the thing. Like back in the 80s, everybody seemed to be collecting G.I. Joe, no matter the age, and it captured like a whole decade of kids, if not longer. Next up, we have Cross Country and the Havoc, and oh man, I don't even remember what the Havoc stands for, but it is a really cool vehicle. We're going to get into just looking at the figure first, though, so let's take a look at this guy here. And he's got a green vest, a strange-looking weird hat that has, looks like, does he have goggles on there that he could pull down over his eyes, but they're just molded in? That's kind of one of those things that they always did nice and tight figure, except probably needs a new rubber band. The strap here, we've got some leggings over his boots. And Cross Country is putting a tape deck in this Havoc. So let's look at the Havoc. Now, the first thing I want to say is that for the longest time I couldn't get these to stay in because I didn't understand that these, whatever these wheel covers are, these pieces stick out. And I was looking around online like, why can't I get it to stay in when I put those on the inside? They're supposed to stick out. So I was like, oh, well, that's something. I had one of these as a kid, and I never had them sticking out. So I was like, that's weird. I don't even really know why they do that. But this is a weird vehicle, and I like it because I traded my friend Jamal for it back in the day when we were kids. And he, I forgot what he got of mine. I just know that he's the one that had this, and I was like, man, that's so awesome. But you can just lay your cross-country figure inside here, or any figure, and yeah, it's weird that he's laying down. It doesn't really make any sense or dollars. These front guns move side to side, and then this pivots forward and back. Then over here, we get around to the back here, and this is the party trick. Like, I think out of the whole thing about the Havoc, if you don't get anything away from it, take anything away from it, it's this cool extra vehicle that now it's not wanting to open. This cool extra vehicle here. And man, this thing is, aside from a little bit of dust, it feels brand new. Phil took good care of it, or just didn't play with it, didn't like it. But this comes out, you can fly this around. It's got adjustable turbine kind of engine motors on it, so it moves around. Which, I mean, it's just, this vehicle fascinated me so much. Just thinking about all of the possibilities of what could be done with it. And then this vehicle has some, it's got some guns on the back, missiles that a dog bone connect into the side, but it wants to come out for whatever reason. That one falls out all the time. You can put 3 more figures on here, 1, 2, 3 on this side, a 4th one on the back. So see, 8 figures, 9, 10, 11, 12. So seats 12 comfortably. If you got creative, you could probably put more on there. The Havoc is a really cool vehicle. A lot of people don't like it, but I absolutely love it. It's a must-have for me. Next up, we have Slipstream and the Conquest. Now, this is one that I had to look up, and I looked up 2 things. First of all, forgot his name. I've had him for a while, a few years now. Didn't have him as a kid, so forget that kind of stuff. Also looked up that he does not have a microphone. I guess that's, I was curious if that was a chin strap or a microphone that was molded in, but he doesn't have a microphone that you have to go track down separate. So thank goodness. Thank you, Hasbro. That sucks so much trying to track down microphones. But he looks like he's sort of a parachute trooper kind of thing. Like he's ready to eject if he has to. He's got his parachute strapped on. He's ready to go. But why would he have to eject from such an awesome vehicle? Now, I have to admit, I didn't have this as a kid, and I didn't have the Python Patrol version as a kid. And I got this for free. I bought a bunch of stuff from somebody, and they said, hey, I got a shell. Let me toss it in. And then I looked through my pile of parts, and I was like, wow, I've got it like 80% complete. And for like another $20 worth of parts, I had it complete. So I do like the shark stuff in the front. Shark stickers. He has this canopy right here. And where he goes into the cockpit, these little things here fall off real easy, and then these rear fins fall off real easy. But I just thought it was real fascinating how it has like 2 sets of wings. It's got the forward-facing main wings and the rear-facing lower wings, and panels that come on and off. These go in and out. Just so interesting how all this stuff works. And yeah, my stuff is probably not the best condition in the entire world, but still gets the job done for me. And I actually have some weird plans I plan to do for this thing in the future, some customizing project, and I have more parts for it, so I'm probably going to have to do some cool stuff with it. You do have an engine cover up here. You can remove that. This is one of the things that's a lot of times missing, but it's not very expensive actually. And believe it or not, this is a relatively, you can spend some money on getting a complete one, but parts for it really aren't that hard to get and not that expensive. But it does come with, real quick, the missiles. Comes with 4 of these and 2 of this giant bomb. Cool vehicle if stuff doesn't fall off of it. This is Slipstream and the Conquest, and so that I could have a figure on the shelf to track down a spare one and a figure in the cockpit, put my best one on the shelf, of course. I got one for less than $10, so not a very expensive figure, and overall, a pretty good vehicle. Alright, next up we have Sergeant Slaughter. So there is, make sure I got this straight. This is the mail-away one, which is the one I had as a kid, and I still have in my childhood It's my childhood drawer, the stuff that I still have saved from that. And then the one here with the camo pants that comes with the Triple T has a black shirt and camo pants. Now this is all stuff that I got from my buddy Philip, and I have to say that I'm glad I did, because in 2018 when I sold my stuff off, I remember coming across one of these Triple T's for like $55 in a toy shop, and I've had my hand in the G.I. Joe cookie jar for my whole life pretty much. And I want to say that I was like, 55 is really a lot of money for that. It shouldn't be like 20. I see them for 20 all the time. Well, I came back the next week and it was sold. So that was telling me that the prices started going through the roof on these things, on the Sergeant Slaughter stuff. And so with that, I'm glad Philip had his in his collection. They're all pretty nice shape. He took good care of them. Also told me he didn't play with them that much. Now, I think this is a repro. Yeah, Sarge says it's a repro staff, because these staffs are hard to get, and they're stupid expensive to get a Sergeant Slaughter staff. Anyhow, pretty cool figure. The Triple T itself is strange. It doesn't really have working treads, and it has wheels that roll on the bottom. It has this control yoke that always is a broke yoke, but not this one. And then you have this removable hatch, which has another handle on it that's broke all the time. And then you have the engine cover. So many things can break on this thing. It's just so fragile. I do say that I don't have the crossover one that they made for Transformers recently, but I hear that one's really solid. And if you want a Triple T, in 2024, that might be your best option. Unless you just have to have true vintage and spend whatever stupid money it is now. I've had this for a while, and I don't know how much they charge these days. Anyway, Sergeant Slaughter, both versions, and the Triple T. Alright, next up we're going to get in the Mission Brazil group of figures, and I've said I'm not going to collect all of the subgroups. I just found a good deal on this guy, so I picked him up, and I always liked the silver on him versus the rest of it. I don't really care about the colors of the rest of the Mission Brazil team, but I'm going to show them now. So the Mission Brazil team, you'll get to see the rest of the team and how it looks, and it's just recolors, and it is what it is. But they are about 2 to 3 times more expensive than the standard figures, because they are just more rare. That's all there is to it. There's nothing special about them. Exact same weapons and accessories. In some cases, recolored weapons and accessories, but for the most part, the same exact stuff. Just the figures a different color, and that's Mission Brazil. Alright, here is the Cobra Bat. Now, this is one that I thought was kind of strange in the early days. I was never a big fan of the lenticular sticker as a kid, because I thought that was just like a cheap out, a cop out. Like, oh, they have a cheap sticker on there instead of actually putting the stuff on it. And my sticker is rising, and this is an original sticker, and it is one of the few originals. I have reproductions on the other ones, and I have a nice army of these. I think I have 10 or 12 of them. And with that, I'm not going to pull the army out for this, believe it or not. He comes with his hand as an attachment. You pull that off, and then you can put on here like a laser blaster pistol thing, which is kind of cool. And then people charge like $20 an attachment. It's insanity. Then you get like a claw. The claw, Max. It's the claw. I'm your dad, Max, and I'm just dressed up like a bat. And then a flamethrower. So they do say this is a flamethrower. So cool figure overall. Kind of fun. His backpack. A lot of times you find little tabs in there broken and missing. Sometimes you find him missing, broken, and of course almost always the sticker's gone, but paint rub and that kind of stuff. The fun thing is I did kind of piece together my best of my best one here. Probably have about 4 others that are pretty close to this, but the rest of them are more or less piles of junk that I assembled. And that's the thing about the Bat. You can just assemble piles of junk and make another Bat, and it feels like it's just all right. Out of all of the figures, it just feels right. Anyway, Cobra Bat. Next up, we are getting into Dr. Mindbender, which is a cool figure. I like the purple. I like the crazy, weird scientist with the monocle and mustache and bald head. They nailed the character archetype. Is that what you would call this guy? This type of character. It just seems like the evil, wild, crazy scientist. Now, most evil scientists are a little chubby. They're not this good abs. They don't have this good of abs, but I mean, and he looks like he's probably 60, pushing 60 with some great abs. That's pretty impressive. Now here is this, looks like a boombox or something, like he's going to the club, but no, it is some sort of testing equipment that he's going to be doing some crazy projects. Here's his gun, which feels like a Zanzibar gun, but smaller, and it's gray. And then it's one of those things where, like, I forgot he had a gun and I had to track one down, but they wasn't that expensive, really that hard to get. But fun stuff. This figure, the coolest part is the cape. Now, it is velvet. It is probably the only velvet cape in the line that I know of. And it has a beautiful tampergraph. And this has held up on all of my capes that I have. Look fantastic. Even if the cape's bad, the tampergraph on there looks really good still. But I do love the purple, and I do love the silver and black and all that's going on with this guy. It all works. A lot of people don't care for this character, but I got him. I remember when I went to Toys R Us with my brother, and we went and we bought like $100 worth of Joes that summer, and we were out of state, and it was just so fun tearing them open. But I was so shocked how much I enjoyed this one. I was like, just think he looks cool, and I just had a lot of fun with this as a kid. Dr. Mindbender. Next up, we have the Cobra Viper, and I have to say that I think a lot of people that collect G.I. Joe that were in my situation that missed out on the first few years look at the Viper as their Cobra Trooper, and it's like, this is my Cobra Trooper. The Cobra Trooper itself is a bit bland, but very iconic, and one that everybody loves. There's a love for that. But this just amps it up a notch. It takes up the design to another level. It looks way more interesting. You have a face shield on there. It just feels right. It feels very Cobra, and it feels early enough in the line that it is a classic. It's an instant classic. Comes with the backpack and the giant gray gun. Mine are both different shades of gray, so I'm wondering if maybe one's for a different year or something. I don't know. I don't care. These are very expensive to troop build, like $40 a figure, and I don't know a hack on getting them cheaper. It just is what it is. People do not want to let go of these because they're troop builders, and it is even easier to troop build, I think, Python Patrol versions of this. This one is one of the most loved figures in the line, and I will say that because people love this so much, the fact it was hard to get in classified made people quit classified. That's how much love there is for this. You know how much else love there is for this? Black Major has put out, I think, 10 or 12 different variations of this. This is just 2 of them that I picked up. And then this is like in 98 or something, or early 2000s. I think it's 98. They came out with this one here, this recolor. Really awesome, cool figure. I love the Viper, and I would army and troop build it, but for me, I've got different variations, and that's as far as I need to go with an army or troop building of the Viper, even though it is one of my favorite figures. It would definitely make my top 10. Hey, we're the monkeys. People say we monkey around. No, we're the Dreadnoks, and they monkey wrench around. So this was another one of the Dreadnoks that, what is wrong? Do I have a broken crotch on every one of my monkey wrenches? Okay, so anyway, I actually was shocked how bad of condition my monkey wrench. I have 2 of them, one for my display and one for the figures only display, and this is the best of the 2, and he's not even in that great a shape. Comes with this giant pitchfork looking gun that he has. It's a rocket launcher and a pitchfork at the same time. He has these giant grenades on there, which obviously work with his weapon. He's got this red vest. I felt like when he came out, I felt like he was Torch, but he was Torch like version 2.0, and that's because I didn't have a Torch at the time. That's how I kind of, he was my Torch. So I do kind of get it confused, because as a kid I just felt like he was Torch, and I know he's Monkey Wrench, but I felt like he was Torch. Anyhow, still a cool looking figure, definitely one of the better Dreadnoks, and he came later in the line. Cool sunglasses. He's got that cool full-on beard he's got going on there almost. It might be a goatee. That's not how I do my hair, my facial hair, but still really cool. I like this figure, and we're seeing more Dreadnoks this year. 2 more. All right, next up we have Xandar, Zartan's brother. Kept calling him Cousin Larry. Cousin Larry. No, he's not. He's not a color. Changes color. Sunlight changes the skin color. And there's the card art. And looking at the back of the card real quick. I don't have very many of them that still are in their card, but that is a cool figure. I like Xandar. I had him as a kid back in the day, and I always thought he was a little bit cooler of these figures. And Zartan's brother? Okay. Alright, so this is what his gun looks like, and I think people kind of confuse that gun with the one for Tunnel Rat, because it's a big gun, kind of like that. There's his backpack. He's got some, I think, always thought it was arrows in a quiver. That's just kind of what it feels like. And maybe his gun is actually a dart gun. Yeah, it is. It's like an arrow gun, dart gun. And there's arrows in the quiver. He's got a molded in knife right here. He's got some boots on, a silver gray pants. And from what I understand, if you break his rubber band, he's kind of hard to get back together. So I'm glad I've got mine together. Anyway, cool looking figure. Xandar isn't a fan favorite, but I have to say, when you get the group of Dreadnoks together, it just works. It really does work, and he definitely fits in and fits the bill. I've never tried to change his skin color in the sun. That's something I probably should have worked into this, but maybe next time. All right, we're into Zartan's sister, Zarana, and another figure I had as a kid, another female figure I had as a kid that I loved the figure. I thought she was really cool. She was a tough female character, and I didn't know that there were two, which I don't know if there's a price discrepancy between the variants, but you've got the regular one, and they got, which they say is no earrings, then the with earrings, aka the ugly one. Like, this is what I think of, because this is what I had. This is the one that I think got hit by the ugly stick, and that's what happened when she wears her earrings, I guess. I don't know. Definitely not my favorite. I guess they both change color in the sun. They both have this backpack on. I'm short on stands, so she doesn't get a stand. So that is what it is. I don't have her in the main display, even though I probably should put variants in there. She's in the Dreadnoks display. Anyhow, I do think this is an amazing looking figure. They did a great job on her back in the day. Not on her. She's terrible. She is. Oddly enough, I had to track the ugly one down just because I just did. Years ago, I did that just because I heard it was a variant. I was like, I like her that much. I got to get her variant. But Zarana, Zartan's sister, and she's a tough biker girl. Next up, we have the A.V.A.C. Pilot, and it's the pilot of the Fire Bat and the Technodrome. So technically, he is the pack-in with the Technodrome. Makes him hard to get, but not really. They put out the Fire Bat as a Melloway the next year, and maybe the year after that too. So I went over all that when I went over the paperwork, and with that I did that paperwork so I could have an idea of why some of the stuff is more readily available than I would think it would be. But he's a really cool looking figure overall. He's got that silver and red, kind of a crimson going on with him. He has a permanent mask on, so you don't know what he looks like. It could be one of 100 different people, I guess, right? Lots of different A.V.A.C. pilots. And he's got a Cobra symbol. He's supposed to have a parachute. I don't have that. So between that and a couple of missing missiles, I do not have a complete Terradrome, and I still sleep really well at night, oddly enough. But here is the vintage. Well, let's do a quick side-by-side. All right, this is the 25th anniversary style, and he is a little taller, although he doesn't have a stand, so he does stand taller if he is on a stand. And as you can see, they just made him a little different, more articulation. He does have a knife that is removable that goes into the side there, so that's kind of cool stuff that they did there. I don't think he ever came with a parachute either, and parachute as in a leather piece that, not leather, rubber, like this, but no breather hose, and black. It's cast in black for theirs. Here are the two different ships, the Fire Bats. This is the vintage one. It's a little bit darker, a little bit lighter for the more modern re-release one. And they do have, sadly, removable engine covers right here. I don't want to even take them off. A bunch of missiles, wheels, and surprise, I'm missing them. Now, I could easily just take the ones off the modern, put it on the vintage, but I wanted to keep it all straight. And I actually found myself liking not only the figure for the modern one better, but the actual Fire Bat better for the modern one. But I do want to point out there's less detail. There's more detail here. There's less detail on the vintage one, more detail on the modern one. Another way to tell the difference if you just don't have them side by side and see the color variation. That's the Fire Bat and the A.V.A.C, and still really one of my favorite vehicles and a cool looking figure. Next up we have the Moto Viper. Do you Moto Viper? And kind of cool, interesting Moto Viper. Comes with the S.T.U.N. He's got a loose head, but he has two blues and a silver helmet, some straps and hoses and stuff going on him. Pretty cool looking figure overall. Does have a gun molded into the side on that side and another gun on this side. Would have been fun if he had two. Nope. We'd be tracking down these stupid little guns for 30 bucks a piece. Thank goodness they didn't. Now, getting into the S.T.U.N, I want to say that this thing is it's interesting, it's cool, it's also weird, really weird. Got some giant Cobra hubcaps going on there. You have this, when you move this, the figure moves with it. That's strange. For whatever reason, this one doesn't want to hold in place. This thing was heavily played with. You can also put the figure right here. Fun stuff. Now I am missing the flags that go to it. I think they're somewhere in one of these boxes, but broken flags that go here and here, and then there's something else goes there. Still, you can put figures on the back of this. Viper Team Blue 22. Blue 22. We can open this up, and for whatever reason, this happens. Now, you can say that as this person is driving forward, these guys are shooting to the side. That would make a really good Mad Max kind of vehicle, Road Warrior kind of vehicle, but interesting stuff. Also, you get another Cobra hubcap on the inside here. This is the Moto Viper and the S.T.U.N. An interesting sort of science fiction-y type of vehicle from Cobra in 1986. Next up we have Thrasher and the Thunder Machine, and this is the 25th anniversary version. I think he's pretty cool looking overall, and nice improvement, but of course the first one is the one that I think of the most. Now, I didn't have this as a kid. I didn't have the vehicle as a kid. As an adult, and I appreciated it because I was finishing out the Dreadnought collection, and I was like, well, let's get this vehicle. So we got to get this Thrasher guy that has a lacrosse stick, which I don't know how he's supposed to hold it, so I have him hold this so he doesn't break his hand on this giant lacrosse stick. But he is kind of cool. He's got some green hair stripes. He's got spiky stuff going on his shoulder pads. It's cool pelvis. Good thing his waist isn't broken. He's got some silver knee pads and shin guards, and his ripped shirt. And I mean, all these guys look like they're from, well, this looks straight out of Mad Max, which is a whole lot of fun. Which got this front grille. I think it's front end is a Camaro from like the mid 80s, which is kind of cool. He's got these guns that move. I think I've reviewed this already on the channel, so we don't need to spend too much time on it, but I will show you a couple of the interesting features. If you can get it to work right, this thing will roll right through. This headlight up here is kind of cool. You got this opening door on the side. You can fit the figure in there with the steering wheel. You have this, what's always kind of battered and beaten, antenna that's almost always missing. Also, we have this side view mirror with a little sticker on it that shows sticker there, and you can fit 1, 2, 3, 4 figures on each side. Just load it up with every single Dreadnought they made, roll down, and he has a jet engine on the back, so he can go Mach 1 in a vehicle. This is Thrasher and the Thunder Machine. Next up we have Serpentor and his Air Chariot, and I want to say that I did get this from a local buddy of mine. The figure I already had, the Chariot, and it's really hard to get one in good condition with a good condition cape, but she had 2 of them actually. She hooked me up with one, and also to get one that doesn't have broken teeth on there, on the face, on the snake head. Now Dr. Mindbender made him, and there he is. There is the Serpentor. His knife is weird looking, and I don't think they ever used that for anyone else other than him, so this is very special. He's special. His Air Chariot has 2 of these laser cannons. He has a steering column and a snake head, which a lot of times the bottom's missing. People don't even know it has a bottom. It has a top, middle, and a bottom. We have the rear fins right here, like a directionals, and this does actually move right here. So cool stuff. The cape's sparkly. The snake falls off of them real easy, but still really a cool figure, a cool vehicle. I don't want to move him too much, and I don't want to risk breaking his feet. Getting that gold plastic syndrome for the tab on this can break. There's a lot of things that can break on this real easy this day and age, and to have one that survived, I'm really happy. And especially a figure in this good a shape, I'm shocked that I came across for a good price. Anyway, this is Serpentor and his Air Chariot. I do have one more giant vehicle, so I'm gonna do these two small ones to get out of the way before we move to the last figure and the big one. This is the sled. It's the Cobra sled. I was right, the Hydro-Sled. I'm missing some little gun in the front. I'm pretty sure I even have it. I just don't know. Didn't know it's what it went to till just now, so that sucks. Anyway, I just view this as a very cheap product. You can do a couple things. You can lay them down on it, and there's a low price point one, low budget. You have this fin on the back that moves up and down. You can put their feet in it. I really do view this as something that you would have your eels in, but I already have the eels in the night landing, so that's that. This is a pretty cool, interesting missile that goes to this, but this is just really a cheap one. Oh, it's not even a dog bone to hold it on. It's just that. It's been a while since I messed with this. I messed with it right when I got it like 4 years ago, and then it's been on the shelf ever since, so didn't really see the point of messing with this thing. But it is a low price point. You probably still get a complete one real cheap online right now if you're interested, but I would have never picked this up if it didn't come in the collection, because it's really nothing to it. It's kind of boring, but there it is, the Hydro-Sled. Next we have the Dreadnought Swamp Fire. So there were 2 Dreadnought vehicles this year, and then there was 2 reissues. I guess I'll show the picture of that after this, but this is kind of a cool vehicle. I had this as a kid, and I thought it was a whole lot of fun as a kid. I remember doing this with it, and I think it floats, but I don't remember. And I was gonna do an episode, maybe next summer, I'll do Does It Float, and take everything I think should float and see if it floats. Does that sound like fun or not? You've got foot pegs so that you can put figures. All right, I got cut off, so now let's get back to this. I went ahead and just put a figure on here to show that you can put the foot peg and the figure, and he can fall. Hey, that didn't work. There we go. Now that's the Swamp Fire, and we push it back, and we're gonna show a picture. This doesn't really matter. Show a picture of the other 2 vehicles that they made for this. This is like a recolor version of the Dreadnought Air Assault, and then the Dreadnought Ground Assault, and I think they were Toys R Us exclusives. Not 100% sure. Anyway, I don't have any of those. Those go for stupid money. There's also the Cobra Surveillance Port with like a playset, the L.A.W. Law playset, and the Outpost Defender, of which I have parts and pieces to all of these. And literally my Cobra Surveillance Port is just, I can't get it to stand up, so I don't even know where I put it because it's in such bad shape. Did a lot of repairs to it. I could, I guess, effectively repair that. Anyway, just little accessory set pieces, kind of like small, not even play sets, but they're kind of cool, they're kind of interesting. Not for me so much, but they exist. All right, we got the Devilfish, which is a low price point boat that they put out for G.I. Joe, which it's kind of cool. It's one of those that is very classic. We all kind of know it. And all this time, I didn't even know it had hoses back here. I had one as a kid that mine didn't have hoses. Or if, because I got it secondhand, if they did have hoses, I don't remember it. It's the engine covers for these trolling motors here. Kind of cool. Dual motors. Interesting. And they got a swivel and a connector and a swivel. They do a lot of that kind of stuff. You got these torpedoes on the bottom here. They're orange. And then you've got these missiles up top. A machine gun. Put a figure in there. I just randomly grabbed the figure and stuck them in there. Thought it was cool. Thought it was fun. But they did recolor this for the Tiger Force. And I got to tell you, you can get one of these complete pretty easy. The Tiger Force one, that one's like pulling teeth. Or $100 and something. But I mean, either way, this one here is I think it's much more fun if you can get it pretty cheap. Alright, out of all the vehicles, this might be the coolest one. This is the Night Raven and the Strato Viper, and it's cool. It's so cool. It's cool into the stratosphere. Wow. So here is the Viper figure himself. He looks kind of cool. And actually, it's one that, oddly enough, I got a spare one for my shelf. Wasn't really too expensive, believe it or not. Probably because they sold it by itself as a mail away or something. But the thing is it's always in the cockpit and I never see him because I have it with the vehicle. When I got Phillips, I made sure all the parts were there, and then I try not to touch it. It is very fickle vehicle. It easily breaks. So let's get into looking at this thing while it's still intact. There's a lot of stuff to love about this, a lot of stuff to be concerned about with it. Let's start up at the front here. Well, we've got this thing here that it's like a gun that goes up and down. I never really mess with that. This whole piece is one, and then the bottom, it slides down, and that's how you put the figure in. This part is really fickle. I don't like the way this is set up, but that's kind of how it works. I keep it taped up. That's my piece of tape. I tape it up so it doesn't accidentally fall out on me, but that's how that piece works. And then looking at the rest of it, you've got these giant rear fins, the wings, the rear engines. Let me bring the camera down a little bit so we can see more what's going on here. So this extra pod, now I like this. I think this is a really cool idea that they came up with. They actually reused this on one of the spaceships, the Crusader, I think. And I think that's what they did. Anyway, I'll know more about that. I don't have that. I don't have any of that, the Defiant, none of that stuff. And I decided to draw the line, and I didn't go after Defiant, and I almost got a Crusader, but then these, okay, I don't need to remove them, but there's like little weapon pods that connect on, and they have two of these missiles in here, and I lost one for like 6 months and finally found it, or I don't know if I had to buy another one on eBay, but I lost it for a while, so that kind of stuff bothers me. Also, these kind of flip up and down, get the ball rolling on these features off camera, but this comes down, has two more missiles in it. This wheel function, it's a little finicky, but you move this back and the wheels go down. Let me get that started off camera. Here it goes. And I wouldn't be so super careful and concerned about this, except I actually had one of these that was broken, and I know all the faults because you have a broken one and it's frustrating, so you learn how to handle it and not break it. It's pretty expensive. These are pretty expensive to get them complete and unbroken in the Night Raven, but it is fabulous looking vehicle. Just an amazingly. That's what a lot of people want this to be, a HAZLab. I don't know. I say no. No HAZLab on this. It would be 4 foot long. So I hope you enjoyed this look at Retro Wednesday 1986 G.I. Joe, the entire vintage toy line for the year, and probably the best year ever. I mean, really, vote down below. Let me know if you guys think it's the best year ever. I will have to just add a little #1 ribbon or something to this because it probably is the best year. But anyway, I'm curious what you think about this, and we're on our mission from 1982 to 1994. This is 86. We're not quite halfway there yet, but it's a lot of fun. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Time to hear him hang out.